Hello there, everybody. What's going on? Did I actually fuck up everybody? It kind of sounded like I said everybody kind of. But anyway, we have another exciting episode. We're going to be talking to Hakeem Dykes, aka Reality or Drugs, here on the Instas. Well, hello there, Sage, I guess. Anyway, let me send him the invite along with my brothers as well. Boink, and let me send our guest. But anyway, Mr. Dykes is a filmmaker, and he's currently working on a documentary right now. And I believe he says that is his favorite. But anyway, I'm gonna talk to him some more. Hold on, there he is. Okay. Oh, hey, he's here already. So let me go ahead and send him the request to join up. Hopefully the hopefully the interwebs and Zuckerberg lets him join on this fine Wednesday evening. What's up, Brandon? I see you in here. Man. So anyway, just another hump day, waiting on reality or drugs to get in, so we can talk about black filmmaking. All right, black people in film and blackness, whatever. Okay, just waiting on him to. Oh, let me put my computer screen down so I can actually rest. But as I wait on him to get situated, I had a pretty awesome day today. I've had fried Oreos for the first time. Yeah, fried Oreos, and it was pretty fucking lit. Oh, what the hell? It's saying he couldn't join. See, I just sent the accept again, so hopefully he can. Ah, he declined. Why so? But anyway, yeah, man. Like my first time having fried. Oh, hey, what's
Oh,
up?
I had me some issues.
Hey, there we go.
Oops,
Sheesh.
oh, sorry.
What's going on,
What's
Hakeem?
going on, man?
Not to be confused with Hakeem Lyon from the hit show Empire, but
Yeah.
The greatest rapper of all time.
oh yes, he was able to win a freestyle battle by not actually battling. It was
I
amazing.
still haven't watched that TV show yet.
The first season was amazing. Second season was good. Third, you're like, okay.
Hey,
Fourth, you're like, what the fuck? Fifth, you're like, ugh. And
was it
yeah,
Yeah,
so
was
they
it
dragged it out then.
those like Spanish shows, the telenovelas? It was like
yes,
the black version of a telenovela. Like every season got crazier and crazier. People was having secret brothers and sisters and stuff. It was wild. The whole thing was crazy.
Oh yeah, they just dragged the storyline out. It seems.
Nah, bro, it was
yeah,
wild.
like they I don't know what it is. Like Lee Daniels must have had like a contract with Fox and like, look, you cannot tell me no about anything. I want to do exactly what the fuck I want to do on my productions.
Yeah, they was letting him get away with murder on there.
but without further ado, man, Hakeem, thank you for joining the podcast
Yes,
and
sir.
donating your time to us. And I'm gonna try to be vigilant with the time because last week we lost an episode because Instagram, like our page still isn't at the point where we can do unlimited live.
Okay.
So once the hour is up, the page just be like Instagram just snapping like just the footage is lost. So hopefully that doesn't happen with you. But introduce yourself. Tell us about your you basically.
uh, I mean, well, I guess my name's Hakeem Dykes. I'm originally from Orangeburg, South Carolina. Um, I recently became a freelance videographer. Recent, as in like I just reached a year anniversary of doing it. Um, but before that, I've just been like a media manager since college, and yeah, I don't know. I kind of just got nervous. I didn't know what to say. So, is there anything in particular you want me to
oh,
say right now?
I mean, it's all good. Yeah, I just wanted you to give your introductions. But now, a media manager. Like, can you explain what goes on with that? Like, what I guess, like what goes on in that position?
Well, media manager is kind of like a catch-all term for everything media, uh, pretty much related to social media. So I manage restaurants or small business social media accounts. I started by doing influencer management,
Hmm.
and it also, I guess, would include like the graphic work that I include in that for those accounts. So
Now,
for me, media management is like a catch-all term for everything outside of my videography work.
so
So
oh,
I
go
was,
ahead, Brandon.
oh no, my bad. I was wondering, so how does one such as yourself get into doing something like that? Like, where this journey all begin for you?
Really, it began in college. I went to Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina. And even though I
Hey.
went to school for political science and I was a community organizer at the time, I like in some ways kind of got burned out from like doing the protest and like, organizing people for change. But still wanted to be involved. So I asked if I could just do videos and pictures. And that pretty much sparked me becoming like a social media manager. Um, and even though it was 2014, 2015, organizations at the time didn't really want to invest money or time into their social media besides just making it because that's what was up for the times. So at the time, it was a really good opportunity or time for me to do that for the organization because it was new for like the area that I was working in. Um,
Hmm.
and that ended up becoming like my job when I moved to Los Angeles to be a distribution fellow. And even though the word is like a lot different, it included still social media management or like website management, and then some distribution work as to like getting films in the theaters or um, like one project I worked with Sony Studios. So like that was the part of the distribution work. So it kind of just all merged together, starting from asking if I can take pictures to just ending up knowing how to manage websites and social medias and everything.
Hmm.
Wow,
I
that's
heard
amazing.
I heard a job like that, like like film art or whatever, like you'll start off in one way, but yeah, like eventually it will like branch off to just different avenues.
Right.
So like you would say like your path to this filmmaker, like it was just such a natural progression. Like you just like I said, you just wanted to do pictures at first. Uh-oh there. But going back to the manager thing, like so like are you like managing, I guess you're handling their social media. That means you're logging in to say an organization's Instagram account and you're making the post yourself?
Yeah. So it kind of works in two ways. Since now I'm like a freelancer or consultant, I do it in a way where it's like I can either make it for you on the forefront or I can be your day-to-day manager. So in some ways we kind of just talk about what their branding is, what they want to see on their page. I create some graphics to give them an idea of what they could do or what I could make. And then we use that to as a template to like set up their social media page. So yeah, I do that for organizations, small businesses like a restaurant, um, independent consultants, like for like other people as well. So that's kind of what that.
Okay. And you did say you also did it for influencers. So has there ever been like an influencer who like, maybe took one too many doses of Ambien and just went wild on social media and you had to like go in and fix it real quick or like
Nah, not in that way. See, and that's interesting because, well, that's I'm not a publicist, so I'm just like a media manager. So after they take their pictures, they can send them to me to sometimes do edits or figure out the best way to put it on their page so that it's formatted correctly. Some people might be more creative than others, so they actually want like some graphics put on there to make it look cooler or whatever. Um, so it was more literally on just the media, not managing like their personal public persona, I guess.
okay. So Folkland, would you say that's sort of comparable to what Big John does, like in a sense? Like making sure like, you know, the advertisements or not necessarily ads, but just like the image of your client, just make sure they're like, as poppy as possible so people can like have some eyes on it pretty much.
Yeah, I would say so. I would definitely say so. You know what I mean? Oh, shout out to everybody in SOS land, man. It's Folkland Lows, man. Shout out to our guests. I don't know if I know your actual name. I know your handle, reality. Over I don't know, reality or what is it? I'm sorry. Fuck
Reality
it.
or drugs.
It's all
But
good. But
his
what's
real
going
Oh
on,
name
my
is
man?
goodness,
Hakeem.
man.
Yeah,
I'm
just top
sorry,
name.
man.
My name's Hakeem.
Hakeem.
Handle reality or drugs. Yeah.
Appreciate it, bro. Yeah, sorry about that, man. Coming in late and unprofessional. But yeah, man. You know, I would say so. I would say so, Tizza.
Okay. And and now you say you kind of got a little burnt out with the political organizing and stuff, and I definitely understand.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because look, cause I used to have a secular student organization when I was in college,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not necessarily like on the level of like politics, like, but oof, that shit was stressful. Like,
I pretty much everybody can agree working with people can be stressful. So just imagine that when you're talking about social issues or like
Mm.
political issues and trying to get people to either jump on board on that or get politicians to change. So yeah,
right?
at that time, that's what the burnout was about. But I still
So
want to be involved because I hadn't graduated college yet, so I still wanted to do something.
Oh,
Now,
okay. So you're still pursuing the
for
degree?
politics,
No. The you say you hadn't finished college yet?
no, I'm done with college now, but I was saying at the
Okay.
time when I started, yeah.
I was going to ask. So I know you said you kind of felt a little bit burnt out in that area, but are you still tapped in to it in any sort of way, or what?
Yeah, because I went on to make my own nonprofit or make a nonprofit with someone else called Blacks Who Gives Back.
Mm.
We started like in the middle of COVID, um, as a way to like give resources back to the community. Also as a digital resource so people can find what we were calling like hubs at the time. So like food banks or COVID like testing centers. Um, like close to them just because we weren't able to like, you know, directly
Right.
people who were on different sides of the country. I was in California, my partner was in New York. So while we could handle those two places, where when other people popped up, we figured that it was like a lot more than what we could handle. So we started teaming up with other organizations and joining like a digital resource group, and that is through Blacks Who Give Back. So that I'm still involved in that. We haven't done anything this like we do it kind of by like season, so we haven't done anything this season. But we do something in February called 28 Days of Giving Back, where we literally give back to a family or multiple families every day.
Wow.
February. Um, and what else would I say? We do like we literally kind of just are open to when people ask us for stuff because we did a drive of like bus fare and bus cards for people who are in New York. That was 30 bus cards. Families who need help with getting food or like gas. That's really what we focused on over this year with just individual people who reached out to us from like our consistent posting on social media kind of.
Man, shout out
Wow,
to
that's
Blacks
amazing.
Give.
Still involved in.
I was
And
about to say, yo, clap it up for my boy real quick, because
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
great.
cause like I mean, like bus fare, like that may sound insignificant, but to somebody who has to take the bus to work and
Get
like
work, yeah.
they cannot miss a day. Like
Right.
Especially
you
in New
you
York City.
yeah.
If you
right.
got kids or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, it's crucial.
So
So that's
yeah.
that's very like so like Blacks Who Give Back. That's obviously a 501(c)(3). Like so like what was like the process of like I guess building that?
Uh, the way it started was my homeboy named Anthony, who lives in New York, kind of posted that he had like an idea to, well, he had an idea to do like a food drive. And I was like, bro, don't be discouraged because like he did a sign up and nobody signed up online. I'm like, don't be discouraged just because nobody signed up. Like, I wish I lived in the area, I would like help you out. He was like, the only way you can help me out is if you live in the area. And that kind of challenged me to figure out what I could do to like help him. So then I was like, well, I can do one on the West Coast. If you do one on the East Coast, we can like kind of do just like a digital fundraiser, split the funds, and then you give it out to the people you know who need help. I'll give it out to the people I know who need help. So that's how it initially started, by just posting on Instagram saying we wanted to do like a food drive, or like I was in California, so I wanted to do like a homeless give back, with like toiletries or blankets and socks. Um, and if people could donate to that. So we did that. It worked. We ended up raising like close to $500. It was actually like 400 and some change. So
Right.
we were like excited about using this money. And even though it was going straight back, like we were just excited that people believed in us enough to like donate to us and like, actually fulfill initially his dream. So after that, we teamed up with another young guy named Miguel who lives in Texas, and he told us like we should make it a nonprofit organization. Even though I came from that background, because I was burnt out and like I don't really want to, be a program manager, ED, none of that.
It's like they pull me back in.
Yeah, they were trying to put on me. I'm like, I'm not sure if I want to do that. But he got the like tax paperwork, the filing. He did it all in Texas, so that was actually what made it easy for me, that I didn't have to, be the main person who was doing the paperwork or following back up with other people to make sure we could become an official 501c3. But the process, in some ways, was kind of simple. It's like how you apply for like a license for your company or LLC. You can just apply. You can present like a mission or like what your project plan is. If it gets approved, it gets approved. You get your EIN or tax identification number under 501c3 or C4. But C4 you have to do a lot more. That's like literally politics and saying you want to campaign.
Oh, okay.
So we went the C3 route, which was like general nonprofit community organizing work, and we got approved in like 3 weeks. And when we got that back,
Hey.
Wow.
applying for
So like,
grants,
it's
still
like
did more.
it's so are C3s, are they like state by state, or like once you get it, it's like you have it kind of thing?
So once you get it, you have it, but you file your taxes in the state that you applied for it in, if that
Oh,
makes
okay.
sense.
So like
So
y'all have to do your taxes in Texas.
in Texas,
Okay.
and like you have, if you want to apply for a grant, if it's like a state grant of Georgia, you might not be able to apply unless they say it's open to, Texas. And even though we aren't necessarily doing work in Texas or on the ground work in Texas, we still have to abide by that because that's where our tax identification number comes from.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
But I mean, but it's amazing though. Like it literally took like, one person. Then you heard about it. Then you was like, yo, that's pretty dope. And then that third person heard about it, like, hey, yo, man, that's really cool, man. Can I start one down south too? And so, like, did any other region like reach out to y'all yet? Like, to get.
No, not yet. And that's because we all started picking up other projects. So we merged with something called Tribe Magazine. That's really Anthony, like his next project, which is like Black art, literature, like a digital magazine for that. So instead of focusing all of our like what we call promotions through our own page, we kind of shuffled it to that so that it could circle back. Um, Miguel in Texas. I'm actually not really sure what he's doing at the time. And I still kind of work with food banks or like giving back downtown. I haven't done it this month or last month, but usually I was doing it once a month because most of my friends still work in like community organizing.
And I guess,
And
and this is, oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, being honest, I haven't done it recently, but it was like a once a month thing all year.
So, like, is it like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know how much face to face y'all had to do with the donators, but like, like, do you ever have to run across those people that's like, well, how do I know my money's going to where you say it's gonna go? You might pocket it or something.
Mm-hmm.
So like, do you ever like how do you like, I guess, how did you like, fight that suspicion? Like, you just showed them like the results, or you just be like, hey, you just gotta trust this dog. Like,
Pretty much. I think it's like any anything that we share word of mouth, they literally have to trust what you're saying to even want to go and shop what you're saying or listen to your referral. So while I'm asking them to like support like what I want to do at the time, which is give back to the community, I still have to like reassure them that I'm going to be out there on the streets, reassure them that I know the people who need the help immediately, because everybody knows someone who could use that $5 or $10 or
Right.
whatever they're asking for. So they're like, why give it to you to give it to some stranger when possibly I could use it myself?
Right.
So really trying to figure out how to connect that person that I'm asking from for a donation from to the story or to the person that I'm trying to get help for. Um, and for me, I feel like it's a lot easier because like I connect with both sides. At one point I've been homeless, mostly when I was without, I'm not gonna say mostly, but when I was a kid, I was homeless. So I
Mm.
relate to like having lived in a shelter, having not have the resources for everything. But once I got to college and was able to take care of myself, I also know what it's like to give back, to be in a place where I can't necessarily give back financially, but want to give back in some type of way, or to be in a place where I can't give back with my time, but I can give back financially. So since like, I was able to go from one phase to the other, I've been able to connect people through that.
And that's a very strong motivator. You know, because you probably felt like, damn, like I know what it's like to be homeless, and that shit fucking sucks. And if I can help, like, lighten the stress for someone else, then yeah, like okay. So
And
like, you say you guys were was it like you and your parents or?
yeah, so I was raised by a single mom. She raised me and my younger brother. I also have an older sister, who is and was like influential in my life and like taking care of us. But yeah, when I was younger, being with my mom and younger brother, we kind of like moved around. So while in some ways I don't know the experience to be an adult and be homeless. I still remember like what it's like to not have a place to call home, but like have a bed. So it was like experiences like that I can connect to with homelessness.
Man, so if you don't mind me asking, I mean, and you don't gotta like, if it's like too like, emotional for you, like what was some of the things that like, your mom would say or just do for you guys just to like, kind of help y'all get y'all's minds like sort of like out of that little struggle situation, like, sort of like let y'all know things are gonna be okay. Like what?
Um, Well, really, I think my mom is really good at being resourceful. That's where I
Hmm.
get it from. So while we went through phases where we didn't necessarily have our own house, we had access to resources to make sure we ate. So my mom always cooked for us like all the time. So I can't say I ever went to sleep hungry. And while I didn't sleep in my own bed, I definitely had something to eat. So
Yeah.
that was like a motivator because we knew that was her way of showing love for us, which actually is still her way of showing love for us, or to us, is by cooking. So that was one way. And I've always been pretty ambitious and did a lot of things as a kid, like performing arts or like, being involved with different organizations. So her giving me that freedom to like go and explore different things was also motivational. Um, and that's kind of what she did, supporting me through that in ways where like she didn't get support. But you know how parents say, I want you to have the things that I didn't have.
Yeah.
Um, like she did her best to make sure that could happen by putting me in places where I could get the resources I needed.
Man, shout out to my Dukes, man.
I always shout out to Mom Dukes.
Making it
That's why I
happen.
end before an hour so I can save it and make sure she sees this for sure.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah,
So
but
do
I
y'all
mean,
have
go ahead.
plans on like documenting, like just like the efforts that you guys been doing?
There we go. Well, actually, not in the efforts that I'm doing, but now that I'm a videographer, I've been working on documentaries or contracted out to work on documentaries. Um, in some ways, still connect back to like organizing. So the one I just recently finished with a close homeboy and mentor of mine, named Desmond Stearns through Everything Digital. We did a project called Melanin, which was about colorism between women in the Black community. Super inspirational project by Marie Antoinette is her name. So
Hey,
we were,
can I dip in real quick?
of course, my bad.
My bad, bro. I don't know why, but I just want to So I was just listening to Corey Holcomb, and I'm citing him. He's not the greatest source of any fucking things.
Okay.
If you know who Corey Holcomb is, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But he said something. He said on the West Coast, colorism is very bad. Like it's like a really big thing. Like skin tone and complexion is like a really big deal. Can you speak to that? Is that like real? Like
On the West Coast, my experience with colorism. So I don't know if I can necessarily pinpoint that to the West Coast, because of course we have a huge colorism in the Black community problem and racism problem as a whole. So I don't know if I was too wrapped on like how my Black peers were looking at me just because I was accepted by my Black peers. So I don't think I had an experience where light skinned or dark skinned folks on the West Coast like didn't accept me or talk to me because I was dark skinned.
okay.
I think, but I
And
think
in
like,
some ways, sorry.
oh no, I was gonna say I think men sort of experience it a little differently
I was
than
about to
the
say
women.
that
Yeah.
in some ways, being a dark skinned man can have its advantages, whereas being a dark skinned woman, listening to the experience of like, these women in the documentary might be like negative or not, come with as many positive things, I guess.
Yeah,
And is
because
it the
it's
whole
okay.
like Hollywood atmosphere that makes it that way? Or
Yeah, I think it's the everybody's kind of trying to be famous or want to be rich, quick, and before you. And that's funny because
before
recently
you, right?
Right, exactly.
I was talking with someone here, and they were asking like my experience on the West Coast and here in Atlanta, and I was saying how like everybody's trying to make it to the top. Where here, I feel like the sense of camaraderie is a little different, where it's like just get there. Whereas on the West Coast, it's like let me
Nigga, I will
get there,
kill you.
and I
Yeah.
might bring you there. I might, but so walking into that atmosphere where everybody's just trying to get somewhere, not necessarily bring you with them, was could be discouraging.
Mhm.
But then I also have to check myself. I might be rambling because I'll surround myself or somehow am surrounded by supportive people who like are genuine and like having give me the experiences that I hear from other people. So actually, I was surrounded by people who were ready to give me their resources, connect me to other people, make sure like I was taken care of. So I had a good time in California. Also, when I like decided I wanted to do videography full time or do media management full time, the circles I surrounded myself with or found myself in were actually supportive and beneficial for me. So I have to give you two sides of that because
Yeah.
it's a real reality that I experienced or saw, but it wasn't my personal experience. It was like what other people told me or what I saw them go through. But luckily, I didn't have to go through that myself.
Yeah, no, and I can say too, like at least Atlanta, it's like it is competitive, but it's like a friendly competition. You know what I mean? Like if you used to make it, like ain't nobody gonna be mad at you. You know what I'm saying? Like although like I said, it is a competition. People are still hungry. They still trying to climb, but it's like oh shit, man, that dude Hakeem, man, he got his documentary played at Sundance, man. Respect. You know what I mean? Like whereas like I guess how you describe Cali is like, man, bitch ass nigga, man. He worked with white people, you know, so some hating sucker shit, right? So
Well, I was about to say, like, would you say that Atlanta's more like, even though y'all competing, y'all also trying to, the goal is trying to build something for everybody, whereas like it sounds like the West Coast thing kind of sounds like like screw everybody, like kind of just be, you know what I mean, or like there, it kind of doesn't even seem like there's a real central goal in mind from what you described, so.
If anything, I would say since Atlanta is becoming or trying to be the new Hollywood, that creates a different environment than already being Hollywood. So people who are already
Right.
there or trying to get accepted into the actual Hollywood aren't, on the same level or have the same mentality as everybody who's trying to build a place that's like Hollywood. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody here is trying to like make Atlanta the popping spot for production,
Mm.
for like, everything that's going on, for music, for fashion, for everything. So we know we aren't the necessarily Hollywood, even though we're the Mecca. um I feel like everyone joins in that way of still trying to build it so that the branding is consistent in Atlanta, that we produce
Mm.
like films, we produce music, we produce fashion, we produce, everything. And that's what I would say the biggest difference between like folks in Hollywood maybe
Right.
and folks who are here in Atlanta.
And since you kind of touched on how all those different hubs is down in Atlanta, like have you what type of ways have you been able to branch like your brand out and connect with some of these other brands, like you were saying?
Wow, I don't want to say the word, but exposure is really like getting
Mm.
out there and being seen. While I am not a public person, I don't even really like public speaking.
Right.
Um, I get my exposure from being at work. So when I'm at
Mm.
work, I take it very seriously. I'm not on my phone. I don't do you know, I don't mix the personal and professional thing at all. So I'm not like, trying to take pictures with celebrities. I'm not trying to flirt with anybody who may be there. I'm there to work. And I think
Mm.
people recognize that, and that is how I get a lot of connections. People ask me for my personal business card, even when I'm working on a different project. And that's how I stay employed. Because I don't really like I said, I don't like public speaking. I don't really like taking pictures or being out there. I'm a very much behind the scenes person at this point in my life. So I get a lot of contacts and like get my branding out there or get my business out there by being at work.
Oh, that's dope.
If that makes sense.
No, no, it definitely does.
Yeah. And in my bio, it even says like I don't care about my page, but I'll manage yours. That is,
That's dope.
as long as I'm employed and I can like
Mm-hmm.
mostly what I want to do or what I like to do, I'm cool. I'm not trying to be
It's
famous.
like
Like trying
it's
to,
basically the work speaks for itself.
it speaks for itself. So as long as I
Okay.
stay employed, I'm gonna just keep this attitude.
Let's now let's hark back to the melanin documentary though,
Okay.
because there's a lot of there's a lot of dumb fucks who I talk to, right? Who like act like they don't understand color.
Right.
but um but like I guess like how do y'all like I guess from what angle do y'all explore it? Do y'all explore it from like the pop uh shit. I want to say is it pop media or is it
Pop
like
culture.
yeah, like from the pop culture. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like from a pop culture standpoint, or more so like the community standpoint, because like the colors and things been kind of a problem since like way back when,
Right.
and even other countries deal with it in their own way. It's not even like an American thing, like exclusively. So what I guess like what angle does the documentary take it from?
I think, and the project is through Marie Antoinette, so I definitely want to keep giving her shout outs because it's her
Okay,
idea and she like led it in the way that it was super relational, and personal. So I think that makes it more like a community focus versus like a pop culture one, because it was more than 10 women. I don't want to say any number that's not right. It was
right.
definitely 10 black women of different shades and different experiences that, like, shared that. And they did group discussions, did one-on-one interviews. So I know for sure it was super, like, personal. Um, and it went from a point of, like, what is your experience as a black woman? What is the positives? What are the negatives? Um, how do you play into colorism, both
Mm,
like as an active part or as a passive part of that? And I
Ooh,
think
that's a dope
just
question.
starting
yeah,
with those, it kind of made people think like, oh well, while I'm going to paraphrase because I'm not the one of the dark skinned women who were speaking, but the dark skinned woman was like, oh yeah, actually, I do say stuff about light skinned people that may be offensive, or that probably is offensive to them. But the only time we kind of talk about it is when a light skinned person says something offensive to a dark skinned person.
Right.
But like, you know,
They
kind of
called me
just
stuck up once, so I mean, us light skinned girls, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm sorry, but it's like, but it's like, you hear that shit. It's like, well, I get called, I get called white. I'm like, okay, like the dark
Yeah,
skinned
I
girl
feel
gets
like
called an ape.
it's
Like, the
darker
fuck is
tone
wrong with you?
people.
Like,
I feel like darker tone people feel like we have the license to make everybody to like highlight everybody's insecurities because you know what I mean. Like we feel like we get shitted on at the most. You know what I mean. So since we're at the bottom of what they would, of acceptance, we get to just say what we want. You know what I mean. And like people aren't allowed to feel affected by what we say and shit. You know what I mean.
and I do like that
yeah,
y'all explore
you know,
both
me, I
sides as
can't
well.
subscribe to that. 'Cause I be trying to challenge myself all the time, not to
Hmm.
necessarily, you know, do the status quo.
Right.
But I definitely know what you mean, and I do still do stuff or say stuff like light skinned nigga or, you know, acting like, um, and and in the same way that I take so much pride in being a dark skinned guy, that can also, you know, hold its own, I guess, like have its own negative effect on other people because I'm
Right.
and I may come off as aggressive and I may take that as, you know, something that I lead into a room with, even though I'm
Right.
not as aggressive as I may look. So you know, being a part, even though it was women talking about their experience, it
Right.
made all of the everybody on the production team was a man. Besides like our assistant, it
Well,
made us all kind of think about it, and we talked about it when we were out in the parking lot, and it was like, yeah. So,
and that's
Well, I
what
was
a good
about,
documentary is supposed to do, make you think. And
right.
go
well, I
ahead,
was
Brandon.
going
I'm
to ask,
sorry about that.
uh, have y'all ever had the idea of exploring it from the side of men? Because I know we briefly touched
And
on the fact that colorism with men is kind of different, and I wonder, like, like if y'all ever thought about broaching it with men, and if so, like, how would you think about going about it?
so I never so because we were just the production team and like videographers, I don't think we gave it that much thought as to what to do next. And I don't want to I don't want to take Marie Antoinette's vision right now and like build on it in my own way. But I definitely think she should have a conversation that includes, you know, different shades of black men. Um, but I definitely don't want to like, you know, expand on that because that's not my idea. Um,
Right.
Okay. And
yeah.
where can we stream this documentary, or purchase it? If
Or so she did a coffee table book, which is under the term melanin, M dot E dot L dot spell melanin out.
Okay,
By Marie Antoinette. So I know that's the coffee table book. And the documentary is also available on her page and on EDP's page. So Everything Digital Film.
everything
We
digital
have
film.
both.
She might have to change that name.
Oh,
I didn't even
EDP.
think about it till just now. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
What
The
I got
Googles
going
might
on with EDP?
the Googles might lead you to the wrong EDP.
Mm.
But that's dope, man. Any other projects that you've worked on yourself, like
Um,
or any projects that popped out at you that you've helped on?
that I have hopped on. I know we briefly talked about like a black migration project that I'm working on through
You,
this
you
organization called High Point Collaborative. Um, However, I've been advised not to share too much on that. So what I
okay?
can say
Okay.
is that um, there was an idea to kind of do a reverse plot flight of black people. So we know the like or may have heard about the Great Migration from
Mm-hmm.
south to the north. So a lot of black folks live in North Carolina, but their grandparents are from I mean live in New York, but their grandparents are from South Carolina, or from the South. Um, this organization to do a digital project that basically does the reverse of that. So people who are now living in New York, how where are their grandparents from? Do they connect with them? How is their culture different since they are like northerners but their family heritage is from the south? and how does that play into their Black experience in America when you're talking about, like, how people are different in the North than they are in the South, basically.
You know, it reminds me of this David Banner line where it was like where he say like it's from the song called Mississippi. It's like where you used to come in the summertime, but you don't mention us in your rhymes. And I was like, yeah, why don't
Yeah,
y'all mention us in your rhymes, you uppity motherfuckers? The two
makes
Northerners
sense.
on the show right now.
Yeah.
Because
So
your rhymes was
did you
wicked
know
whack.
that? I relate to that too.
Yeah, Bama.
Are y'all all from Atlanta?
Nah.
I am the other two. They're from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, good old. We
Oh yeah.
breathing that northern air up here.
But that's a dope project, man. And add to man, I wish you could tell us a little bit more about it because but we'll be on the lookout for it for
Yeah.
sure.
Most
I
definitely.
like I spoke too quick and I was talking to them and asking like more about dates and they were like, what changed from before where I wasn't really like worrying about the dates of the next thing and I was like, oh, I'm going on this podcast, so I kind of wanted to share a way that they can, connect to the project and it was like, actually, don't do that.
Okay.
Let me not talk too much. But yeah.
So like,
So
have
Yeah,
you?
that's a
Oh, go ahead.
dangerous
I'm sorry.
area, man. Like where you be excited about something, but you know what I mean? Like they got
Yeah, it'd be
they
like
gotta
Tom
roll
Holland.
out.
they
Yeah,
like,
man.
yeah,
Like
you
that. What was
know
that?
that,
Was that
that
Big Sean who his friend like took a picture of like Jay-Z and Kanye in the studio, and then like they basically like Big Sean had to tell dude pack it up and like go back home because
Oh
like his
man,
thirst level was like too high or some shit like that.
and
Wow.
that was just from
That's
snapping a photo. Like,
I
Yeah.
mean, that's why, like I said, when I'm at work, I only work because you can miss out on your next gig or your next opportunity for anything because you just snapped a picture on your personal device. And you
yeah.
were there just to be an onlooker or to work with a professional camera. Um,
Man.
so,
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you feel like are stereotypes maybe about black people that directly affect how you approach your professionalism as a filmmaker?
um, well, one of the stereotypes I think about black people could be um, professionalism. So not
Yeah,
thinking that we take our business or like our entrepreneurship serious. So I definitely always try to lead with that energy that I'm taking both my clients and me as a business owner, entrepreneur, freelancer, whatever title, you want to put on there at the time. I take myself very seriously and the work that I do serious. So leading with professionalism and trying to keep that kind of decorum all the way through, even though other people might not be as professional or stuff happening and you might, want to lose your cool at times. I try to always be professional because people don't give black people the same leeway as they do everyone else to just be human and make mistakes. Um,
yeah. Do you feel like let's say Ryan Coogler with Disney, does that has that dramatically changed the perception of black people in the industry, or what you think?
I didn't hear the name that you said actually.
Like Ryan Coogler, like how they basically just gave him the reins with Black Panther, and now he's like damn near a made man at Disney. You know what I mean? Like, does that
Yeah.
help a lot? Does that help you?
Uh, yeah, I think when I hate to be cliche with the seat at the table, but whenever, a black person can get a seat at a predominantly white table or a table that we were not at before, whether I agree with his vision or, agree with him as a person or, whatever, the politics of it all or not, I have to appreciate that now that space is open. So maybe the next person might be, hopefully the next person to be better or, more open to not being a gatekeeper in the same way that people may mention him. So I got to be appreciative that he's at that table because
Right.
I'm not, and I don't know anybody who is. But the way psych circles and networking works, uh, I might know somebody who know him, and I gotta be happy that he's where he at, so that I can use that as a network. So not to cop out in that type of way, but I'm like,
Right.
anybody can get anywhere that's like
Right.
not where we were before, literally breaking boundaries or, generational curses, whatever you want to put on it for the marketing term. I gotta appreciate that because, like, in some ways I come from nothing, so I appreciate my travel to making something out of myself, my family's, experience to becoming something, and I gotta appreciate other people's experience at, like, doing great things too.
See, and Big John wants to know, could he hit you up for a short film?
For a short film, for sure, definitely hit me up. Let's chat and see what we can work out.
See, see. This is what the SOS is all about.
I
Building.
mean, hey, glad I
uh,
can.
okay.
You said, why is it a cop out?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely didn't sound like a cop out to me. I mean, you definitely connected the dots there.
Right.
Um,
Sometimes I
let's
like
see what.
roll back on
got some
myself.
feedback. I think B got some feedback going on.
Is that me? Is that mine?
Yeah, yeah.
That's me. My bad. Our signal been iffy a little bit,
Uh,
so I don't know. My bad. Sorry. Hopefully it'll
Okay.
clear up in a second.
So like, so Hakeem, have you ever been around like film? Like, have you like filmed any like demonstrations or protests or anything? Like, just on your time, or just to make like maybe like a slideshow kind of thing? Because I know you said like you still stay connected to the activism through your
Right.
videography.
So yeah, literally since I decided that I didn't want to like organize protests or like be on the front lines of protests, I've been taking pictures or videos, or I went through a phase where I did like street medic. So like when people go out to do protests um and sometimes they get hurt or get sprayed by police.
Oh, like what Rittenhouse was supposedly doing, but he ended
Yeah.
up.
it's like, why you gotta have an M16 to be a fucking street medic?
Yeah,
Well,
like
well,
Well,
was you
you
strapped?
gotta
Like
shoot the
you had your
band-aid to him. That's why.
yeah,
You
were
shoot
you
the
strapped,
band-aid to
Hakeem,
him.
when you was
nah,
doing
I wasn't strapped in that way.
but that's what's up though, man. Providing aid and also filming the goings on. Like what? Like, did you ever catch anything on camera that was like, whoa, like whether it was like tragic or just something amazing or just something that really caught your eye, like, and you was able to catch it on film, like.
I can't say I've ever not anything that was like outlandish. Besides the environment, like the police are literally throwing gas grenades. And you see the gas grenades, you see the sparks going off, you see people running. Um, I know I'm thinking about when they had what they're calling like the Atlanta riots, like last summer, 2 summers ago.
Mm-hmm.
How like there were cars on fire and uh, buildings getting like ran into. So
Yeah.
all of part of the protest and the energy that was going on. Might be extraordinary or like new to other people, but that's kind of what I'm used to in that environment. So I can't say anything out in anybody.
Yo, B,
Okay.
you got to mute your mic, B.
All right. And I guess like just from a personal level, like just because I ain't been to no protests, and I don't think I'd have the testicular fortitude to go to one. But but I guess like, but what's it like though? Like I guess like when the police officers do like start to get heavy handed, like like I don't know, like do you have like that little guy in your mind saying like, "Hey, yo, bro, won't nobody blame you if you just like get the fuck
If you
out of
just wave
Dodge,"
at
like
the
like like
wrong
and what motivates you to like stand your ground, and be like, nah, like my feet are
person.
planted, like
So I was trained by like some black liberators who say, listen to that little voice in your head. So if that nigga tell you it's time for you to go home or you to step back or do something, even though you might have signed up to be on the front line, listen to that little voice.
mm,
So I'm glad
okay,
I was trained in a way that doesn't make me feel like I need to be somewhere just to be there. So when I felt like it was too like unsafe for me, I know the like while I was doing the street medic thing and had the gear on, the police still pulled like their A16s or whatever type of guns out on us, and like made us get on the ground, and that was enough for me that night. I'm like, oh nah, you know,
Right.
this like that was a little too close and personal. You see what we're doing? We're providing aid. You walked up and like even used some of our supplies, or not in a way of like using it for themselves, but like picked it up, took it back to newscasters who had like bruises on their arms. So that experience was enough for that night for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna go back to like where we're staged at and kind of recoup.
Yeah. I mean, that has to be crazy though, having like a strap pulled on you, because it's like wow, dog. Like the dude
Especially,
could like sneeze and his finger can slip and I'll be paralyzed. You know, like just
yeah,
like
or that, yeah, or like I know one of my first protests. This was when I actually was like had a megaphone and like was holding signs. It was in Cleveland, Ohio, and they pepper sprayed us and like gassed us in the middle of the street at the University of Cleveland. And that was like horrific. I thought I was gonna die. I couldn't breathe. I had just got out of my asthmatic phase as a kid.
oh man.
So I'm like, I got
Like
asthma.
traumatizing too.
Yeah, that shit was like, excuse me. Yeah, I know you already been cursing, so not necessarily excuse my language.
Yeah.
That was, an
It's the
experience.
SOS podcast.
Yeah. We're sailors.
There we
Talk your
go.
shit.
That was
I
an
was gonna ask. Speaking of the protest things, so like when you like, you said sometimes like you might film some of the things at the protest. So I've seen people online who sometimes get upset with people who like take photos or videos of the protest because they worry that police can potentially track some of the people in the footage. So have you had to deal with uh people being angry at some of the stuff you shot, or do you like work with those people before you release it, or how do you really go about that?
Hey, before you answer that question, Tenzin, we got 8 minutes.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm looking at it now.
All right.
I was gonna let Brandon's question be the last.
Okay. Yeah, I think, or I know I've definitely ran into people who didn't want to be on camera, but like how I was saying, I was trained by those Black liberators. They also were telling us about that experience of like, you're doing storytelling for us, but it's also data collection for the whole world in the way that the internet works. So be weary of taking pictures of people who don't have a face mask on or who are like, who aren't protected. So while I want to take a picture of the moment and show the energy, I also don't want to put somebody's life in danger. So it's mostly before you decide to send that picture do you think about stuff like that, because while you're out there you're kind of just taking pictures, get the video. So it's good to have a team of people who are thinking like that before you put out a picture or put out media just for the moment. So yeah.
Okay.
No.
Well, wow. Well, Mr. Hakeem, man, I thank you for donating your time and appearing to the SOS podcast. We're not gonna let Zuck fuck us this time. Okay, we're gonna end this so we can have the footage saved, because this was a really nice conversation. I mean, I thought, I was gonna be talking to some hippie about, film, but hey,
What up?
you
Don't
like.
let it fool you now. I still might be hippie.
But go ahead and give your shout outs and just whatever you want to leave us with. You're getting the last word here.
Bet. So again, my name's Hakeem Dykes. My business page is Key2 Media. Personal page is Reality to Drugs. I'm a freelance videographer here in Atlanta. If I do a shout out, it has to be to my sister, Sajal Brown Lee. She has a small business under Endless Consultants where she does life coaching, HR work, and like also small business consulting. So I'm shouting out to my sister. Y'all might have her on the show or something. I don't know. But I definitely appreciate y'all for having me. And, have a good night.
Uh,
All right, man. Thanks so much. Thanks for
all
swinging
right.
past.
No problem, man.
And this will
The
be on
SOS set
YouTube.
sail every Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Tune in, join the community. Conversations is always lit just like this. You know what I mean? So join us next week.
All right.
Bet.
All right. Thank you, Hakeem.
All right.
Thanks, man.